Let's talk about financial planning for kids. The first option that most people in Canada know about is registered education savings plan, which is meant for the education savings for children. Now, a lot of us in Canada, or most of us in Canada, are getting childcare benefits from the government, which is roughly about $200. Some families get 300, 400, and more depending on their income. Now, most of the families, most of the parents, they start using this childcare tax, the benefit they get from the government, to start saving for this plan called RESP. Now, what is RESP? It is basically a bucket of $50,000. So the parents can maximum contribute $50,000 in this bucket. And if they fill up this bucket of up to 50,000, the government puts in a maximum lifetime grant of $7,200 from their pocket, right? Or on the other hand, if the parents contribute less than this, whatever they contribute every year, the government matches 20% of that money from their own. Right? So your money is right away growing at 20% with whatever you're saving inside this bucket. And with time, this money is invested into mutual funds, right? And you're opening, most of the parents, they open these with a bank, and this money starts to grow. Now, depending on whatever is the growth of this money, it could be, let's say 4% per year, right? Keep in mind that there is impact of inflation and there is bank fee associated with this investment also. If the money is growing, let's say 5%, 6% growth, now including your contribution and the $7,200, whatever the money grows, let's assume that by the age of 18 years, when the child is ready to go to college, this money in total with the growth becomes roughly about 85,000. Now the child is ready to go to college, and this $85,000 can now be used for the cost of education for the child. Right? It can pay for the tuition fees. It can pay for the rent of the place the child is living in. The child can use this money for anything that is related to the cost of education. Right? He or she can even buy a car, or pay for the cost of maintenance and insurance and gas for the car. They can buy books with this money. So whatever this money, when it's used for the cost of education, it's good for the child. Okay. Now, we keep in mind that RESP is only good until the age of 35. After 35, this plan ends. And if this money is not used for education by the child, then this money has to be taken back by the parents, because it's now no use for the child anymore. Now, the question is this. The two most important questions here are, one is, can we guarantee that our child will go to a college or university? That's number one, because if we are saving money in this option, then this money can only be used for education purposes. That's it, right? So is there a guarantee that our child will go to a college or university? The second question is, do our responsibilities as parents for our children end at just sending them to a college or university, right? That's another question. So will they never come to us for any more financial help, right? So we need to keep that in mind. Now, in case if our child decides not to go to a college or university, what happens to this money, right? Because this money has been growing for so many years, 18, 20 years and more, right? And it is waiting for it, for the child to use it for education. In case if the child decides not to go to college or university and they start a career or they build a business, right? Now what happens to this money? The first thing that happens is that the grant of $7,200 here, it's taken back by the government, because government says that I gave you this money for education. The child is not using it for education, so give me my money back. The 50,000 that the parents had contributed, this goes back to the parents. Of course, there is no tax on it because it was already saved by the parents from after-tax money. But the growth on this plan, right, besides the 50,000, 7,200, whatever is the growth will be given back to the parents, and it will be taxed at that time, right? So that extra growth will be added to the income of the parents, and the parents will have to pay tax on that time. The other option is that this money, if the parents have a room in their registered retirement savings plan, this money can be moved into that, right? But eventually when the parent starts using this money after retirement, this money will be taxed as well, right? So keep in mind that there are three ways of when we look at taxes. There is tax now, tax later, and tax advantaged. And both of these plans, the RRSP and RESP, these are tax deferred plans, which means we don't pay taxes now, but when we start using the money, this money will be taxed. Even when the child uses this money for their education, the growth part will be taxed by the government. The contribution from the parents is tax free, right? So when we start using the money, we have to tell the bank or the government that which part we are withdrawing from this account. Either is it the contribution part or the accumulation part, and the accumulation part will be taxed, right? Now the other thing is, as I said, that the growth will be sent back to the parents account, will be taxed, or it can be used into RRSP for the parents, or this can also be used by another sibling of the child, right? So if one child says, I don't want to go to college, this can be used for another child, but this can again be used for education purposes only. That's it, right? This is what is the most popular option that most parents know in Canada when it comes to saving for their children. What is the other option, right? The other option that the parents can look at is buying a whole life insurance policy for the child. Now, how does this work? Now, in this case, what I want to tell you is, what I want to show is that the money, when saved, the same amount of money, just like RESP, where the parents are saving $200 per month, in this case, the parents save the same money for the same amount of time, roughly about 20 years of time, right? And this money now starts to grow and starts to compound for a long, long period of time, right? As you can see, it can keep compounding until age, 80, 90, 100. Now, the good thing about this one is that, parents are saving the same amount of money for the same amount of time, right? But at the age of about 18, when the child is ready to go to college, in this case, now the child can borrow money from the government, which is an OSAP loan, right? And still study for 4 years in college or university. Now, as long as the child is studying in the university or the college, there is no interest on that money, which means that the money inside this option, the whole life insurance policy, gets another 4 years to grow, right? After graduation, when the child graduates at 22, now just from the growth part, the child can start paying off the OSAP loan in the next 6, 7, 8 years, right? Just from the growth part. And then OSAP loan will be paid off, right? It gets paid off. But then again, there is still money inside that now starts to compound and grow once again. Now, looking at this, first of all, because this is a whole life insurance policy, our child is protected with the life insurance right from the very beginning, from day one, right? And now let's look at the lifetime of a child. Now, what are the main points or milestones in a child's life when you think the child is going to need money, like a significant amount of money? And let's look at this. The first thing, as we already know, that the child will need money for education. The second one is the child is going to get married one day. They would want to start a family. They would need money here for their wedding. Then they also would want to buy a house. They would need money for down payment, right? There could be a big purchase need. Let's say they want to buy a car, or they even want to start a business. They need some initial investment to start this, right? Any other investment, they want to buy a second property, and they need money to put a down payment in that house. Then they would also need money when they retire, right? That's a huge need, for them when they retire also. After this, when they turn old, right? When they turn 85, 90 years old, there might be a need for a long-term care, which means that they might want to go to a senior house where there would be, costs involved of having nurses and medical teams and the cost of rent and everything there, right? In later years. After that, there will be final expenses and funeral costs. And then the last need would be a legacy, because whatever assets the child is going to build in their whole lifetime, there will be a legacy cost of transferring those assets to the next generation, right? And also the child wants to leave some more money or cash for their next, for their children as well. Now, how can this option help the child throughout their whole lifetime for the same amount of money that a parent is saving in option one, which is only meant for education, compared to this option where the money can be used, during their whole lifetime for whatever needs there is, and there are strategies that the child can use that money tax-free also. right? As I said, in that case, the growth will be taxed. In this case, as long as the money stays inside this policy, the money is growing tax free. But when it's taken out, right, there could be tax implications on that. But there are ways that the child can use this money completely tax free. Now, there is this concept called infinite banking, which is a really, in simple terms, it basically means that we are building a bank for our children, where the child has always money available in a program like this, or in a policy like this, where whenever they need money, there is money always available to them to use, and they can borrow from their own bank, right? Use that money for whatever they need and keep paying back to their own bank. So the interest they would otherwise pay to the bank, they're basically paying it inside. They're paying it to themselves, and their money continues to keep compounding for their whole life, right? And as an example here, as I said, that this growth inside the policy will pay off the OSAP loan with time. When they get married, let's say they need about $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 to get married, they can use this money to get married, or whatever is left will continue to grow. Or if they don't use a lot of money here, this money let them grow. They want to buy a house, right? They need about 40,000, 50,000 in order to put a down payment. This money can come to their use. Whatever is left will continue to grow, right? And then around 65, there will be a lot of money to help them supplement their retirement income. And then going forward, right, around age 80, 90, whatever they need, they can use this money, and this money can become a lot of money, right? As I said, from the parents' money, the parents are saving $200 per month. So in total, their contribution is about $48,000 in 20 years. But this money compounding and compounding, by the age 85, 90, could become a couple $1,000,000 or even more, right? A lot more money, which the child can use throughout their whole lifetime. Now, when it's time to say goodbye to this world around age 90, right, this all money can go to the next generation tax-free, right, completely tax-free. Not a single penny goes to the government. From this money, the children can take care of the legacy costs, and then whatever is left in their hands is basically for them to use for their life as well. Right now, this is an option, option 2 that parents can take advantage of as well. But it's just a matter of designing it properly and making sure that everything is taken care of, and it's built, customized based on the parents' needs and of course the age of the child. Now, if you were given these two options, one is choosing between an RESP, the option number 1, or the option number 2, where the child is protected with a couple $100,000 in the beginning, but with time, this life insurance is going to grow along with the cash value inside it, and then it's going to become a few $1,000,000 later on in life. Now, if you want to learn more about how you can benefit or how you can take advantage of it, if you decide to choose the option 2, then yeah, do connect back with me, and I'll be more than happy to help you look at a customized design based on your child's age and needs for them. Okay, thank you.